Hi, this is Jenny from Jenny Quinn Fitness and Lifestyle, and I want to talk to you today about the squat, which is a great exercise for the lower body, in particular for the thighs, the quad muscles, the hamstrings at the back, the glutes, but we also use our core muscles and our lower back. It's great for both strength training, just building up strength in the lower body, which supports our knee and hip joints. Very important as we get older, but it's also good for weight loss and just general fitness. So I'll quickly run through the squat technique with you. So standing with my feet shoulder width apart, feet placement is important. My toes are slightly turned out, that will be a natural position for most of us. And the first movement in the squat is actually to hinge back at the hips. So if I turn sideways, that will make more sense. So same placement with the feet, and shoulders are down and relaxed, and what I want to do is just hinge back at the hips. Okay, and from there, just bring your hands out just to counterbalance at shoulder height, keeping the chest up, and then from there, hinge at the hips and descend down into the squat. Now my weight is in my heels, I can feel my toes just coming up slightly, and I'm squatting down, aiming to get my thighs parallel to the ground. And then I use my glute muscles just to push up and drive up, squeezing the glutes at the top, and also using my heels just to push my weight up. So just to remind you, hinge at the hips, bring the arms out to counterbalance, and then sit back, descend back into the squat and go as low as you can. From there, squeeze the glutes and push back up. Now what we don't do with a squat, and I see this sometimes in classes, it is not a bend at the knees. If that's our first move, then our weight will be too far forward. So just make sure you think about that hinge at the hips, and from there drop into the squat. Chest upright as possible, back stays in a nice neutral position so we don't hyperextend the back or tuck it under, tuck the bottom under. We stay nice and relaxed in a neutral position. Now the squat is something that I've had to sort of work at. I'm not the best at performing a squat, and that in my case is largely to do with lack of flexibility in the ankles. Ankle flexion is actually important in performing a squat really well. So to help with that, what I can do is use 2 gym plates. If you're at home and doing this exercise, you could use a couple of magazines as long as they're the same height. And I can use those just to stand on to raise my heel. And just by doing that, it just gives me a little bit more flexion at the ankle. Same feet placement, so feet are turned out slightly, feet are shoulder width apart, and hands come up just to counterbalance, and I hinge at the hips and descend back into the squat, and I can actually go that little bit further. Okay, and then driving up through the heels and the glutes just to push back up. One last thing, and I'll face the camera for this, that's really important in the technique is as you hinge back and drop down into the squat, just make sure that your knees stay out in line with your toes. In other words, don't let your knees cave in. Really not good for the knee joints. So the knees stay pushed out just in line with the toes, and then we come back up, driving through the glutes. Great. Okay, that's a really good body weight squat, great exercise to incorporate into an exercise regime at home, even just a couple of times a week, 2 sets of anything between 10 to 16 repetitions, and that will really increase the strength in that whole area and will add value to everyday life. It is a functional move, the squat, which means that it's something that we replicate in everyday life just by sitting down in a chair and getting up again. So performing the squat and keeping that strength and flexibility and mobility in the whole of the lower body area, and the knees and the hips will really just enhance everyday movement. So an important exercise to do. We can also add weight into it just quickly. just to increase the heart rate, to strength train. So for example, I could take one dumbbell, which is a sort of a medium weight, and just hold that in front of me. This is a goblet squat. So I'm literally just going to hold that weight to my chest. Same feet placement, exactly the same technique. Hinge back with the hips, drive the bottom back and lower into the squat, keeping my knees in line with my toes, my weights in my heels, and my glutes are ready just to push me back up, squeezing them right at the top. Perfect. Okay, I hope you found that helpful. Just pop that back. Depending on what your goal is, whether it's strength training, fat burning, weight loss, or just general fitness, please do talk to me. Send me a message, contact me via my website, or catch me in classes. I know I see many of you in classes during the week, and I can chat to you further about your specific goal and aims. But I hope you found this helpful, and I look forward to doing my next one. So have a good week.